we'll continue following the life of Abram today. And you know, in Genesis chapter 12, God had told Abraham that he was going to be the father of a multitude of nations. But by the time we get to Genesis chapter 16, Abram was the father of nothing. He had no children. There was no future. How could he be the father of a multitude of nations if he didn't even have any children? Well, it was at this point in his life and in Sarah's life that they began to take things into their own hands. It says in Genesis 16:1, now Sarah, Abram's wife, had borne him no children. She had a female Egyptian servant whose name was Hagar. And Sarah said to Abram, behold, now the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Go in to my servant, and it will be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram listened to the voice of Sarah. So after Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, Sarah, Abram's wife, took Hagar the Egyptian, her servant, and gave her to Abram, her husband, as a wife. You know, God had said, I'm going to do this. If you follow the pronouns in God's call, He was going to do everything because He is faithful. Abram doubted God. Sarah doubted God, so they took things into their own hands. If you follow the passage of Genesis chapter 16 out, you find out that as a result of their decision, there was real bitterness and animosity that was birthed between Sarah and Hagar, and ultimately into their son Ishmael's life. You know, when you and I face a trial, when things don't go our way, when the timing of God doesn't fit with our own personal timing, the typical thing that we want to do is take things into our own hands and say, you know what, God, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it myself. Well, that's exactly what Abram and Sarah did. What are we to do when we face trials? Well, it says in James chapter 1 that when we face trials, we're to count it all joy, because we know that the testing of our faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its perfect result, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. God's desire for you is that you would be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. And He is never going to do things according to your own timing. He is never going to do things according to your own calendar. He is going to do things by His will and by His way. And you and I need to learn to trust that. And we need to learn that when He begins to do things that don't go along with the way that we wanted them to be done, He is doing it that we may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. How do we know when we're not walking in the wisdom of God? Well, He tells you that when we have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in our hearts, that is the fruit that we're not walking in the wisdom of God. Look at your life today. Do you have peace and harmony and confidence that the one who began a good work is going to be faithful to complete it? Or can you look around your life today and see disharmony, discord, bitterness, and jealousy in your relationships? One is the fruit of the Spirit, and one is your own personal fruit. Which are you seeing today?